I am ranked number one. One! That means I'm the best.
Some people are scrutinizing the Canelo and Liam Smith weigh-in, and I definitely wanted to see this weigh-in. Joe Gallagher correctly said Beefy will not be fighting, title fight or non-title fight, if Canelo doesn't make the weight, which was good. So any notion that they could miss the weight and still entice Beefy into the ring, no, that was not on the table. That was not on the table for Oscar or Canelo. So they both weighed in at 154. Beefy came in after Canelo, 154. Looked pretty comfortable. A lot of people have made a big deal over Canelo. He came in bang on 154, but had to take his boxer shorts off. Maybe it was just a precaution. Perhaps more precaution than he was really tight. Would he have made it without the shorts? I don't know. That could be an extra ounce to tip the scale over the 154 stipulated limit. So we won't know if 154 has affected him until the fight. That's the point. We could say, oh, he looks gaunt, but we've heard that about him before. We heard that about Triple G last week. He still won, although he was expected to. I never thought Triple G was tight or really tight at the weight. You know, he looked in good shape to me, as far as I was concerned. I don't think that had any bearing on his performance. I think he chose to fight like that deliberately. In saying that, Liam Smith looks like a pretty big light middle, at least compared to Canelo. He looks pretty big. Is he tight? There's a lot of fighters who don't make weight easily because making weight is not fun. It's not fun. For some fighters over a prolonged period or whatever period, shorter periods, it's easy for them and then it gets tougher. This is the first time Canelo's had to do that since 2013, like I mentioned in my last video, when he fought Floyd, and he came in at 152 back then. After Beefy weighed in, the 154-pound WBO champion, alongside Joe Gallagher, what I was looking out for is who was going to go for some liquid first. Joe Gallagher had a liquid bottle in his hand, but they cut the film and brought it back, and Canelo had a green-looking liquid that he was guzzling, trying to get some nutrients back in and some fluid back in the body. Both will need to get some good food and nutrients and fluid in them before fight time. Canelo's listed as 5'9", but can I just say, no way, because Liam Smith is 5'9.5", and he towers above Canelo. So I don't get that at all. I don't understand that at all. Anyone who's telling me there's a half an inch, you're out of your goddamn mind. No way. I think Liam Smith's style, he's not a mover. He's not a back foot guy. He's not a miller. He doesn't mill. Canelo, with the Mexican fan base, will be expected to provide excitement. He will box, but they won't be happy with a cautious counterpunch 12-round decision. They won't be happy with that at all. In saying that, Canelo doesn't have a big reach. Smith is taller. I don't know if he does have a longer reach, but if he does, that may mean that's not even an option for Canelo to box him on the back foot. Although he did a good job on Austin Trout, who I believe had a little height and reach advantage on him. Well, I thought Trout won that fight. So the ingredients are there for some fireworks. I'm just interested to see how much rounds that Liam can take him, and can he surprise anybody? We shall see. It's kind of sad for Frank Warren. I don't think he does a great job in promoting his fighters to be household names. He does well in matching them in certain fights when they get paid or they can keep their undefeated records, but the Sky team have done a really great breakdown on what Liam Smith has to do. Sky, for the most part, handled matchroom boxing, but they've paid a lot of attention. They've got all their pundits to break down what he needs to do. However, I didn't find anything even closely as analytical as Sky's breakdown on Frank Warren's website. Johnny Nelson doesn't believe that Liam can bring the same type of skill set like Mayweather did, so unless he's much stronger than Canelo, he doesn't really see much chance. Matthew Macklin says Liam is stylistically perfect to take on Canelo and hopefully beat him. He says Canelo's habit of taking a breather and fighting in spurts and bursts, because he's always tight at the weight, is something that Liam has to take advantage of, and is going to have to be non-stop. He says Beefy is not concussive in terms of being a one-hitter quitter, but he hits solid enough and is a good body puncher. He said Liam is constantly on you. He always makes you work. Canelo doesn't want to do that, so he has the ideal style to upset him. I think that he will beat Alvarez, but we'll have to wait and see. Really? Well, James Kirkland was on him constantly, and that didn't work, although Kirkland was out of the ring for a long time. I don't think you can just apply pressure on Canelo, because he hits hard, so if you stay close, you're going to have to take hard shots. You know? When you're saying be constantly on him, you got to look at it logically. Look at me trying to school the pros. Cotto was constantly on him by boxing. You see, people, like, when they talk, they just go to the real rudimentary definitions of word. Oh, constantly on him, that means you've got to stay close and stuck in him. No, you can be constantly on him by pushing the jab in his face and making him think. That's constantly on him as well. You don't have to just swarm all over him to be constantly on him. And that's what Canelo doesn't like. That's why the Lara fights and the Trout fights were debatable issues, because they landed more shots than him, and he wanted to fight in spurts, and they were boxers. So we haven't seen this swarming thing be a problem for Canelo. Floyd didn't swarm him. That hasn't been a problem. So I don't get that, really. I don't get that, you know. And he's supposed to be a pro pundit, but one of Canelo's former victims, Ryan Rhodes, he says he'd like to see Canelo, or should I say, he'd like to see Liam Smith follow a similar plan that Amir Khan did. He needs to be in, out with fast hands and try not to be in range when Alvarez lets his shots go. We all know that Canelo has a big punch and he can do damage with it. Liam needs to take that away, and the only way to do that is to be out of range. Exactly! Like, swarming, like my guy said, swarming him is the best. That puts you in range to get hit by his big shots. Swarm him and tie him up, yeah. Tie him up. If you're talking about swarming and tying up sort of thing, yes. But Rhodes was a boxer. He was a technical boxer. Well, when I say a technical, an unorthodox boxer from the Winkerbank gym. He's from that. Johnny Nelson, Nassim Hamed, Herald Bama Graham, Kell Brook stable. Ryan Rhodes says it's not a good idea for him to just stand in front of Canelo. He says Liam's strengths is he throws great body shots and strength and power, but those are areas that will work in Canelo's favor. Great analysis. Great analysis. And that's what you have to think about in your training camp. Are you going to fight to your opponent's strengths? But then again, maybe Liam has some reservoir of punching power that he's going to bring to the table that we haven't seen before. Maybe. Carl Froch, the blueprint has been put down by the main man, and no one can really fight like or as good as Floyd Mayweather. So it was Canelo's only defeat, and Mayweather didn't take him on like he usually takes people on. Liam Smith will take him on because that's his way, but can he box and move? Because that seems to be the only way to beat Canelo. The trouble is, it's not Liam's game. He wants a fight, so maybe his best chance is to get up close and personal and take him on and hope his power can do some damage. That, though, is a dangerous game. Well, Froch makes some good points. John Ryder, he's a big fan of Liam Smith. He's underrated, he tucks up well, so I think he will cause Canelo lots of problems and frustrate him at times. But I also think Canelo is a special talent. If I was Liam, I would do what he does best. He's got that tight guard. He doesn't leave any openings, and he picks his shots well, so I think he could keep doing that. Try not to take on any unnecessary shots and pinging. Work the body and head. Liam just needs to try and fluster him and create openings. That's what he does well. Jamie Moore says Canelo is pretty solid all round. He's dangerous coming forward and equally as effective on the back foot. With someone like that, you have to catch them in two minds, make them feel like they can come forward, then close the range and put them on the back foot. When they've gone into a defensive shell, you go for a little walkabout yourself. You don't want a fighter like that getting any sort of nice rhythm going. Yeah. Tony Ballou, he says the Mayweather blueprint is not in Liam's forte. Boxing on the back foot and milling, countering is not an option for him. He's not Mayweather and he does not possess that set of skills. But the skills he has means he can fight up close and do Canelo what no one else has done. Miguel Cotto couldn't do it. Erislandy Lara couldn't do it. Neither could Alfredo Angulo. He says Liam will fight to the finish. He is a born fighter first and foremost, whereas his brothers are boxers first. Yes, Liam is a boxer puncher, and he can do both, but he fights better close up, and he loves going into the trenches. I think that is what he has to do. And even if Canelo hasn't underestimated him, and I'm not sure he has, he'd better be ready for the fight of his life. Here's the thing, man. You're fighting away from home. Boxing is a simple sport. Let's get that straight. Yeah. I'm not gonna get into I've trained champions or I've done no. I'm just gonna go into the premise that boxing is a simple sport. You have height, you have reach. Now, I'm not gonna tell him how he should go about doing that, because I'm not a coach and I don't know his idiosyncrasies and his habits and his ways and his strengths or his weaknesses like Joe Gallagher. But he has to use them. He has to use. If you go into a fight with Canelo and you don't use it, you've got to use logic in boxing, right? You have height and reach. How can he use them? Height and reach. And let's bear in mind he's not Michael Nunn. Let's not try and turn him into something he's not. He's not a Michael Nunn. He doesn't move like that. Doesn't have the upper body movement. So he has to establish range between Canelo, and he doesn't have to be running to do that. Establish range. He has to beat Canelo to the jab and octopus him inside, yeah? And work when he wants to work and when it's convenient for him. He needs to tie Canelo's arms up so he can't get them body shots off. Push him back into the ropes, wait for the referee to break you, take what's there, and build up a rhythm. You are not a concussive puncher. So if you go up close and bang with the guy and you're not concussive and he's concussive, what is the likely outcome going to be? Just logic. Just logic. And then you see, it's all a gamble and it's all subjective. What we're talking about here. If Canelo is tight at the weight, then perhaps Liam's up close and personal style could be the remedy to defeat Canelo. Could be. But he'll have to go through purgatory, because Canelo is a lethal puncher to head or body. And if you're up close and you're getting hit with them shots there, the similar shots that hit Angulo, it's not going to do you any good. Yeah? If you allow Canelo, because when Canelo sees you up close and you're not moving, he'll telegraph. And he's quite good at it. He's one of the best guys I've seen at telegraphing and landing. He'll telegraph, and if he clouts you, he's going to hurt you. He's going to hurt you. So unless Beefy has an exceptional chin, an exceptional ability to consume and absorb body punches, I don't like it. I don't like it. But if Canelo's tight at the weight, then Beefy's only way in might be effective. I don't believe he can devise a strategy where he can make his reach an advantage. I don't believe he can. I don't believe he can. Not saying that he's an out-and-out slugger, but his feet are just not quick enough. He is a decent counterpuncher, though. He is a decent counterpuncher. It's all going to break down to him being able to get Canelo on the back foot. If he can't do that, he can't outbox him by milling. And, you know, it's as simple as that, really. It's as simple as that. If he's getting pushed back, he's going to try these counters on the ropes like he did briefly in the brief Kell Brook sparring session I saw. That's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Because he goes forwards and backwards with his hands up. That's what he does, basically, Liam Smith. We talk about keeping your hands up, how important it is in boxing. But it's a very rudimentary defense. It just in itself, right? It's an essential defense, and it's the first one you have to teach young fighters. But it's very rudimentary. Just keeping your hands up alone isn't going to protect you all the way, yeah? It's just not going to protect you all the way. When you step up, there's guys who can find a little gap in the earmuffs, the body. Are you protecting the body? You see, there's different techniques to keeping your hands up. I can't teach them because I'm not a coach, but there are. Michael Watson had a good one. Marlon Starling had a very good one, where they could simultaneously protect their body and head just with their hands held up. Hands up is good, but you still have to use your body to move and swing and take the sting out of shots. You can't just have your hands up. That's not good enough. It's just not good enough. So we'll see. Canelo, he has the big fight experience, and I assume the faster hands and feet. He's not going to want to do a job where he's mauled and taking unnecessary punches. So I assume he's going to use countering and foot speed, a combination of that and standing his ground, and pound the resistance out of Beefy. That looks the likely scenario. Canelo to win this one, 10th round stoppage in my opinion. But we'll see. Maybe Beefy can take it back to Merseyside, and retain his belt. We'll see. Peace.